Blessed be everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're talking about the myths about tarot cards and tarot reading. I've got 6 myths for you that we are going to bust, but before we do, I am Sandra from mysterywitchschool.com, author of Crafting Your Wiccan Path. If you want to know more about Wicca and witchcraft and tarot and shadow work, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. And if you want to know how to read the tarot with ease, I have a free training. It's called How to Read the Tarot with Ease. It is a video training and it just takes you through some really simple ways to relate to your cards so that you can read your cards intuitively. You don't even need to know what the cards mean. So do take a look at that video. It's free and there's a link in the description field below this video. So let's start with the myths about tarot. If you do read tarot for other people, or if you tell people at all that you read tarot, you've probably heard a lot of the myths. Some people may believe it's just fortune telling, other people might believe it's evil, other people think that there's some magical powers associated with the cards, and we're going to talk about each of those things today. So myth number 1, and this is probably the most common myth. I certainly believed this when I was probably a teenager about tarot, and that is that it's all about fortune telling. And in some places in the world, it's still illegal to read the tarot for money because it's still illegal to tell fortunes. So a lot of people have to say that if they're doing tarot readings that it's for entertainment only, and to put that disclaimer in there. But tarot reading's more than just telling fortunes. I think it's associated more into the older days when things were a little bit more hush-hush. People did use the tarot to try and divine the future and to see what things were going to manifest. And people in the past had more of a determinist and fatalistic way of looking at the world. They really thought that things were fated for them, that they had no control over their futures or over their lives. And so it was very much a belief of fate. So the tarot was used as a device of fate, really. But in the modern era, we know that there's so much more to life than fate. And we're not necessarily deterministic or fatalistic anymore. We, as magical practitioners or law of attraction, know that we do have an influence over our lives. And the tarot can come into its element there and become the most amazing tool to help us have a sense of ourselves. And that's really where it's the strongest, is helping us understand ourselves and helping us become more self-aware. So the tarot is a method of self-reflection. We can reflect upon our lives, we can reflect upon things that the tarot brings up. The tarot can offer guidance, so it may bring up the possibility of a situation heading in a particular direction, and it can offer guidance as to what you can do about that. And it can also talk about the present energy around at the moment. What's happening in the present moment? What's happened even in the past that's led to the present moment? And in the present moment, what can you do? What could you do to change things so that you're not having maybe this fatalistic outcome you don't want to have? So that's the big myth, is the fortune telling myth. The second one is that it makes some sort of magical predictions, that the cards have these magical powers, and you have to abide by these magical powers, that there's some sort of magical tool. And while you can use tarot in your spell crafting, of course, the tarot in and of itself is a tool. It's simply something that we use to help connect with ourselves, and if we're using them for magic, it's again to connect to our subconscious mind and to correspond to what it is we're wanting to have happen due to our magic. The tarot offers us insights into things. It's not a magical thing in and of itself that has its own magic from its own side. It's something that we use to gain insight into a situation, and if we're using it for spellcrafting, we're using it to connect us to our intention. It's a connective tool, it's an interface between ourselves and our intention if we're using them for magic, or ourselves, our subconscious mind, if we're reading for ourselves, and between ourselves and the subconscious mind of the querent if we're reading for somebody else. They're an interface, essentially. The tarot helps us tap into our subconscious, and because they're based on images, they speak really well to the subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind speaks in images and metaphors and puns and things. So the tarot can really help us connect to the subconscious mind and connect to a much broader view and experience of the world. Number 3 is that tarot is somehow evil. You know, it's linked to the occult, so therefore it's evil. That, of course, comes out of various religious traditions and has infiltrated, of course, into non-religious culture as well, that there's somehow evil things about these cards. It probably comes out of their esoteric use and the occultism being seen as something that's bad by certain religious groups. And some of the images on the cards, which incidentally come from Christianity, are actually make the tarot look evil to people who believe it's evil. They look at the devil card and they think, oh, you know, it's all about the devil, when really the devil's actually, and the images on a lot of the tarot cards, particularly the older ones, come from that Christian paradigm. And so it's somehow being linked to that because there happens to be a card in there that's called the devil. And maybe there's a high priestess in there, and there's I don't know what else would be scary to people, but there's a magician in there. So, you know, it's evil and it's all of this stuff. And yes, the occult is a part of tarot. Tarot is definitely used by occult organizations. It's been used by magical societies. But it's a tool, as I said, of self-reflection. It's a tool to help us become more aware of ourselves. It's a tool to that interfaces between ourselves and our subconscious mind. It's not evil. It's cardboard. They're cardboard with pictures on them. So they're not evil from their own side. It's I guess what you do with them that would make them evil. If you use them in a way that was nasty to somebody or something, you know, you gave them a really negative reading deliberately because you wanted to get back at them or something, then it might be evil, but it's not the cards that are evil, it's the person doing the reading. So number 4 is that these cards have universal meanings. So this card means this, 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 and it's always going to mean this, 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 and this. And as you know, if you've struggled to read the tarot, the cards can mean a lot of different things in a lot of different contexts. So that's where you have to come to the tarot, is to understand that the tarot is going to mean what it means within the context of the actual reading you're doing, the context of the question you're asking, and the card's relationship to the other cards in a spread. So one card can have many, many meanings. And the tricky part to tarot reading is to know which one of those meanings, or which maybe grouping of those meanings, it's having in that particular situation or in that particular reading. So it's not universal by any means. If you do happen to see the death card, for example, in a tarot reading, more often than not, it simply means a change, a transformation of some sort, an ending and a beginning. It's not how it often is in the movies. You see the death card, and you know it means in movies that somebody's going to die, or you see the magician card and it turns out to be this narcissistic trickster. Now, while the magician can be a narcissistic trickster, most of the time it's not. It really just depends on the context of the reading. Number 5 is that the tarot is telling you about what is going to happen, so it's predictive, the fortune-telling aspect, and that it all depends on the external events. You've got no control over it. These cards are telling you that this is going to happen, and no matter what you do, you can't stop it. It's very much, again, fatalistic and deterministic. And while the cards can predict future things, mostly what they're there to do is to help us make informed decisions. We know now that we have more of an ability to control ourselves and to have influence over our surroundings, depending on how we relate to ourselves in the world, particularly in magic. And the tarot is used to help us know thyself more so that we are less fatalistic and less deterministic. We're not the jellyfish floating around in the ocean just being pushed around. Yes, there may be a certain element of our life path from our higher self's point of view and things that we experience as a result of that, but we have a lot more influence in our lives than we've been led to believe. Which brings me to number 6, which is that it's solely predictive for events. So if you go get a tarot reading, you're getting it for an event or a series of events. Look, when we want to read the tarot and we're wanting to know, is something going to happen or is something not going to happen, we come to the cards with that attitude. We want the cards to tell us whether something's going to happen or whether something's not going to happen. We want to look at the cards and have the cards say, yes, you're going to get that job in that particular place. Yes, the love of your life is coming into your life next week. We'd love to have the tarot tell us that, and often the tarot does tell you that. But that's not the only reason for going to the tarot. It's about personal development and navigating our journey through life, navigating the events in our lives, helping us understand how we can navigate an event. It's not there to necessarily tell us the events happening. That's useful to know something might be happening, but we also need to know how to best handle that situation, or how we could lessen the negative effect of something, or even how we could enhance something if something's coming in. The cards can give us information about those things, and that, I feel, is where the cards are used to their real strength. And throughout the occult community, occult simply means hidden, it's been about that. It's in the magical sense, know thyself, that whole Hermetic paradigm is about us knowing ourselves. Who are we? What are we? What are we doing here? And to really understand that. And the tarot can really help us do that. It can help us get deep into our lives. And that's the benefit of the tarot. So I'll just quickly recap those 6 myths for you. So number 1 was fortune telling. Number 2 was that it makes these magical predictions because they have magical powers. 3, they're evil. 4, the cards have universal meanings, so they mean the same thing every time you see them. 5, there's a dependency on external factors only, that they can't tell you about what's going on inside of yourself, and of course they certainly can tell you what's going on inside of yourself. And that they're used solely to predict events that are going to happen in the future. And all of those myths have aspects to them. Even the magical powers ones, as I explained, you can use them in spell crafting. But most people that you speak to who don't know anything about witchcraft or the occult or tarot are going to probably believe those myths. So when you are speaking to them, you'll be able to enlighten them as to how you can use the tarot in a way that's far more helpful to the individual. I find they're great for helping you make decisions. They're great for helping you know whether you're on track or not. They're good at helping you get back on track if you're not, that kind of thing. And they can certainly help you get to know where you're blocking yourself in some ways, and they can help you know what habits you have that are always in your way, habits of thinking usually, and what you can do about that, and what you've actually got there as your potential to move forward. So they're a great tool. I love them. So if you do want to learn the tarot with me, I have a course called the Confident Tarot Reader course. It's a do-it-yourself course, but you still have me to help you if you have any questions along the way. There's a link in the description field for how you can enroll in that course, and it's totally there to help you connect with your intuition and what you know of the cards, then blending them together. It really teaches you how to read the cards together in a spread, probably more than anything, because that's the hardest thing to do. It helps you know that tarot tells a story, and when you connect with your cards as devices that actually connect with your subconscious mind and you start tuning into them that way, then you'll find that reading the cards comes a lot easier to you. So that's a Confident Tarot Reader. There's a link in the description field below this video. If you like the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. I am Sandra from MysteryWitchSchool.com. Blessed be.